Exposed. How a billionaire CEO's blind date for a friend revealed an incredible, unexpected love. Sarah stood behind the counter, steam rising from the espresso machine, feeling the weight of her apron tighten like a noose around her ambitions. This bustling coffee shop was a world alive with laughter and chatter, but she felt like a ghost drifting through, trapped under layers of responsibilities and unfulfilled dreams. Each latte she served masked the sketches of vibrant worlds she created on napkins when the rush subsided, the ink capturing her longings instead of a canvas. Art was her passion, yet every glance towards her brother who depended on her care after their mother's sudden illness pulled her back into the suffocating grip of reality. Caught between dreams and duty, Sarah questioned if pursuing her art was more than just a childish whim. The thought of abandoning her brother felt like betrayal. A poisonous whisper suffocated all her desires. Would her creativity pay the bills? Or was it merely a selfish indulgence while her brother needed her stability? As she carried a tray of croissants to a corner table, the sticky note with her half-finished sketch fluttered in her pocket. What do you truly want? It seemed to ask, an internal dialogue she couldn't answer. The dissonance twisted like a knife, and she had learned to hide her doubts behind a smile, even as tightness filled her chest. When Sarah received the invitation to the blind date from a friend who worked in the same office as Michael's childhood friend, dread pooled in her stomach. So out of place the luxurious restaurant, the high-end decor, and the polished glassware felt like a spotlight on her insecurities. The few nights spent dreaming of a way out of her routine felt like a betrayal to the life she knew she had to maintain. Standing before her mirror, she hesitated, debating whether she should wear something plain to fade into the background or dress up to mask her fears. Clenching her jaw, she reluctantly chose a sleek dress, hoping it would camouflage the conflict raging inside her. As Michael entered the venue, a powerful presence with jet black hair and sharp features, the air thickened with silent tension. He moved through the restaurant like he owned it, yet his eyes betrayed an emptiness that haunted her. When they found themselves seated across from each other, an avalanche of expectations crashed upon them. Her artistic aspirations clashed with the corporate bravado he wore like armor. Each word exchanged was laced with thick uncertainty, the conversation teetering on the brink of awkwardness. How could she share her world with someone who spoke in financial jargon? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As moments stretched between them, anxiety built like a suffocating fog, stirred by an offhand comment from a nearby table pointing out their stark class disparity. The connection between them sparked an immediate desire but was ensnared in the fear of judgment, and Sarah's mind began to race. Could someone as rich and influential ever see her as more than a barista? Were they bridged by their mutual loneliness or destined to split apart, shackled by differing worlds? Each revelation deepened the chasm, intertwining them in a dance of attraction tainted by self-doubt. They were two shadows in a brightly lit hall, branches in the wind, searching for connection regardless of the storms raging inside. As dinner progressed, secrets unfolded. Michael shared burdens of familial ties complicating his reputation, while Sarah uncovered echoes of similarity, linking her past with his late mother. With every new truth laid bare, their identities twisted and turned in the air, morality crumpled like old paper. Pangs of longing battled with the urgency of their separate lives. Waiting between breaths, the night loomed heavy with uncharted possibilities, as the glaring choice between risking it all or retreating into their separate silences hung painfully unanswered. A haunting question remained suspended. Could love be born from the ruins of their diverging realities, or would they dissolve into memory? The evening air buzzed as Sarah stepped out into the cool night, her mind racing with fragments of conversation replaying like a dissonant symphony. The blend of fear and exhilaration pounded in her ears, drowning out the sounds of the city that walked unaware past her. Shadows flickered on the pavement, fragile against the bright lights, mirroring her inner turmoil. For so long, Sarah had squashed her creative instincts beneath the weight of responsibilities. The fantasies of artistry that she dared to sketch on napkins during quiet shifts now seemed tethered to her, leaving her restless. The meeting with Michael had sparked something deep within her, something that ignited every weary dream she had pushed aside. But reality crashed in. Could she even entertain the possibility of a life enriched by art when her brother needed her focus? As she navigated the streets, Sarah's phone buzzed, drawing her back to the present. It was a message from her friend, bursting with excitement over the evening's events, a stark contrast to Sarah's reflective silence. "Let us celebrate. You're coming out of your shell," it read. Each word felt like a challenge. Could she truly embrace this shift? Back at the coffee shop, shifts were like clockwork, predictable routines, and familiar faces. But tonight, she felt the stirrings of rebellion within the confines of her role behind the counter. The scent of freshly brewed coffee wrapped around her like a comforting cocoon, yet claustrophobia gnawed at her determination to break free. In the tranquil moments between customers, instead of doodling opts for whimsical creations, Sarah leaned towards a blank canvas of thought, her future, her goals. A bigger picture began to draw itself in her mind as she pondered options, the ink from her pen flowing faster than her worries. The next morning, standing before the mirror once more, she made a snap decision that caught her reflection off guard. With her brother still asleep upstairs, she would not head to the coffee shop right away. Instead, she picked up the phone. Fumbling with uncertainty, she dialed the number of the local art gallery she'd often admired but never had the courage to approach. Her heart raced as the phone rang, a pulse of manic energy coursing through her veins. When they answered, urgency wrapped her voice. "I'd like to talk about an exhibition, maybe something showing local talents." For a moment, she was met with the expected skepticism, nervousness creeping through her. But then the words tumbled out, explaining her vision, her desire to create a space where artists could come together. The gallery director's tone softened, intrigued. They agreed to meet within the week. As she hung up, mingled feelings settled within her. Anticipation wove tightly with dread. This next step was monumental, yet the impact on her brother tugged at her heartstrings. Would her newfound ambition stretch into selfishness? The doubt whispered, what if something goes wrong? A deep breath steadied her resolve, and she returned to her sketches, pouring her thoughts into artistry like flooding colors on a blank canvas. This was who she was meant to be. The yearning wouldn't fade under the weight of ideals and familial duty. But as the day rolled on, she couldn't shake the unsettling feeling Michael stirred within her. Their connection, it had felt electric, but was there more? A pang of regret punctured her resolve, a silent question clawing at her mind. Were their worlds ever to converge beyond the whispered secrets shared over a candlelit dinner? As doubts flared once more, Sarah knew a confrontation was looming, not just with her ambitions, but with the shadows of her insecurities. The time had come to face whatever awaited her in the realm of art and emotion. She pulled out her brush, splattering bold strokes of color across the canvas, channeling her apprehensions into what could be. It was her first step toward a genuine reality that included everything she wished for. But would she have the courage to embrace it fully? In the silence following her burst of creativity, the phone buzzed with an incoming text from Michael. The words slashed through her perception. "Can we talk? I need to sort things out with you." And with that, the stage was set for a revelation that could change everything. Sarah stared at her phone, heart thundering. Michael's message loomed over her thoughts, demanding attention. She could almost feel the weight of his words pressing against her chest, urging her to confront what had been left unsaid. It was as if the universe conspired to reclaim not just her artistic aspirations, but also the emotional connections she had tucked away for so long. Taking a moment to gather herself, Sarah moved away from the canvas, a chaotic blend of colors now representing her inner conflict. The swirling pigments reflected the complexity of her emotions, fear of vulnerability shadowed by the thrill of possibility. How could she embrace her creative ambitions if she remained hesitant with the people who mattered most? With determined fingers, she tapped out a response. "I'm free this evening. Where do you want to meet?" Every keystroke carried a mix of anticipation and dread. Her decision was made with an unsettling clarity. She would face Michael and the uncertainty that came with it. Throughout the day, Time seemed to toggle between glacial slowness and a rapid rush as she completed her shift at the coffee shop. Each customer's chatter felt muted, distant from her swirling vortex of thought. Colleagues noticed her distraction, but even their concerned glances couldn't tether her spiraling mind. She continued to sketch during quiet moments, exploring ideas for the exhibition, finding solace in the brush of her pencil on paper. When the clock finally struck 6, the sense of urgency that buzzed within her became unbearable. She changed from her work clothes into something that felt like a second skin, simple yet vibrant, echoing the vividness of her recent creative outburst. At the cafe where they agreed to meet, Sarah arrived early. The atmosphere was warm, filled with laughter and clinking cups, yet she felt caught in a cage of her own making, anticipating a conversation that could shatter her fragile sense of progress. Minutes passed like slow waltzes in an unseen dance, and then there he was. Michael stepped inside, his expression a blend of familiarity and uncertainty that mirrored her own turmoil. He spotted her and strolled with intent, his confident posture contrasting sharply with her unsettled spirit. "Hey," he greeted, sliding into the seat opposite her. The tension hung between them like a tautly drawn string. "Hey," she replied, voice steadier than she felt. He cleared his throat, an obvious preamble to something raw. "I've been thinking about all we talked about that night about art, and how much it means to you." Her pulse quickened, unexpected warmth flooding her cheeks. She decided to plunge into the depths. "It's been a long time since I let myself dream. The meeting with the gallery made everything feel possible. But there's this part of me," she hesitated, needing to find the right words. "There's a part of me that worries. What if I fail? What if I chase this and it leads nowhere?" Michael's gaze never wavered, intensity grounding her spiraling emotions. "What if you succeed? You won't know until you try, Sarah." His words, simple yet powerful, echoed in her mind, tripping a switch she hadn't realized was flicked. Perhaps failure was a part of the journey, an integral thread in the fabric of growth. "I want to," she blurted out, contemplating the dreams seldom spoken. "But I also feel like it's selfish, focusing on something that's just for me while my brother," he leaned forward, a touch of urgency in his voice. "You're not being selfish. You're nurturing a part of yourself that deserves attention. Family is important, but so are your dreams." For a fleeting moment, Sarah felt the weight lift, not just of her ambitions, but also of the emotional burden she had carried. Yet there was so much more to think about, especially with the underlying tension simmering between them. The flickering light overhead seemed to reflect the possibilities branching out in her heart, yet the fear of uncertainty gnawed at her as their conversation swirled around them. She pondered the deeper implications of their dynamic. Was there a longing beneath the surface, a connection worth exploring? Sarah took a deep breath, vacillating between personal desires and guarded worries. But as they spoke, she realized the revelation she craved was closer than she thought. It wasn't just about art. It was about understanding who she was. The close of their meeting loomed as she grappled with the depths of their talk. As they stood to leave, a new text chimed her phone. Her heart sank as she read it. "Can you come home? It's important." The chill swept in, reminding her of the family she had yet to resolve. "Sorry, I have to go," she said, regret spiking through her. As she walked away, Sarah knew she was at a crossroads. Her art beckoned with tantalizing possibilities, but her brother's plea echoed in her mind, demanding her attention. She would have to make a choice, one that would test her courage and redefine her path forward. Would she forge ahead toward her aspirations, or would she retreat into the safety of self-sacrifice? As Sarah exited the cafe, the warmth of Michael's presence lingered like the fading notes of a cherished melody, but her heart quickly turned cold at the thought of her brother's message. Each step felt heavier. The vibrant dreams bubbling within her seemed to clash with the urgent call of familial loyalty. The weight of her decision loomed. Arriving home, she found the lights dimmed, creating an atmosphere thick with tension. Her brother, Jake, stood in the cramped living room, the flickering light of the television casting shadows on his worried face. He was usually the rock in their relationship, steadfast and unwavering in the midst of chaos. Tonight, however, it seemed as if that rock was crumbling under his own burdens. "Hey, Sarah," Jake said, his voice trembling slightly. "I've been meaning to talk to you." The The sight of him, usually so confident, sparked a rush of concern. "What's wrong?" she asked, bracing herself for the worst. "I lost my job," he mumbled, every word feeling like a blow to her gut. "Things have been rough at the construction site. They cut back on hours, and now I'm out. I just need your support until I find something." Shock bubbled within her, but beneath it, an unmistakable anger flared. How could he allow himself to sink so low? As words clashed in her mind, support, loyalty, her own burgeoning ambitions, she forced herself to maintain a steady voice. "Okay, we can manage, but I'm worried about you. We've been through tough times, but I can't keep sacrificing so much of myself. Sarah, I'm not asking for much, just a little help." His eyes held an unmistakable desperation that made her heart ache, yet echoed her own fears of failure. She took a breath, forcing the whirlwind of emotions aside. "All right, let me see how I can help. I can cover some bills for now," she replied, ignoring the pulsating ache threatening to surge forth as she recalled her dreams. "Thanks. I just need to get back on my feet," he said, relief washing over his features. Despite the relief she felt for him, a tiny voice of resentment whispered in her ear. Each sacrifice was cumulative, like a slow erosion of her own spirit. Thoughts of Michael and her art flitted through her mind, the excitement rapidly morphing into frustration. She had taken the step, but now it felt heavier than before. Sitting at her small desk later, surrounded by canvases cloaked in uncertainty, Sarah's hands hovered over the sketchpad. Ideas bubbled under the surface, but every line she attempted to draw felt shackled by her obligations. The fear gnawed deeper, feeding on the echoes of insecurity and dependency. Suddenly, the phone chimed again, this time a message from Michael. "I hope you made it home okay. I wanted to talk more about your plans. Remember, don't lose sight of what matters to you." His words sparked a realization. What matters to you? Those simple words resonated with increasing clarity. For too long, she had permitted her dreams to be shrouded in the fog of responsibility. If she continued to hide, her artistic voice would fade entirely. But how could she find a balance? The thoughts tumbled in her mind: an artistic career versus familial duty. Each path held promise, but also fear. As she sat in the dim light, waiting for inspiration to strike, a quiet revelation swept over her. She could incorporate her brother's struggles into her art. Perhaps the juxtaposition of their lives could create something impactful. It would make the experience not just a burdensome obligation, but an opportunity for exploration in her work. Suddenly, the flickering light bulb above her head ignited a fire within. The shadows of doubt began to recede, replaced by a determined clarity. No longer would she allow herself to be pulled away from her dreams. In that moment, the weight of her dual responsibilities transformed into an inviting challenge. She would show her brother what perseverance looked like by pursuing her vision. Holding the sketchpad tightly, a new plan formed in her mind. But as inspiration struck, another text pulled her back, a reminder of what lay ahead. "Can you help with dinner tomorrow? I need you." The crossroads loomed larger than ever. Yet she sensed the tension buzzing in the air, along with the promise of creative exploration just waiting to be uncovered. Would she forge her path through the tension of family obligations, or finally step into the arena of her artistic identity? The morning light streamed into Sarah's room, invigorating yet relentless, a stark contrast to the heaviness she had awakened with. With the shadows of her brother's struggles still lingering, she swung her legs over the side of the bed, preparing herself for the day ahead. A wave of determination surged within her. She needed to create something that bridged her two worlds, her art and her family loyalty. She made her way to the studio. Thoughts of what she could capture of Jake's resilience, his overarching anxiety, began to take shape. She envisioned a series that told stories, resonated with the struggles of individuals undergoing transitions, just like her brother. Paintings filled with raw emotions that could speak of hardship, hope, and the vow to overcome. Arriving at the studio, a sense of purpose washed over her. The smell of paint and the sight of blank canvases invigorated her. She needed to take action, to allow her frustrations to transform into strokes of colors. No more hiding behind gave her an empowering thrill. She set to work, allowing her brush to flow freely with the stories of her family echoing in her mind. Hours slipped away. The music of her creative process filled the air, and each stroke radiated relief. She captured vibrant colors that embodied her anger, softer pastels that expressed her commitment to Jake, and dark hues to convey the weight that threatened to suffocate them both. The transformation of her emotions onto the canvas did not feel like an escape. It felt like a reclaiming. This was her world, a territory where she could acknowledge her responsibilities while simultaneously pursuing her passion. As midday approached, Sarah stepped back to survey her work. A sudden shift in her chest, an acute awareness that someone had entered the studio. She turned to see Michael standing there, a curious expression on his face. "Wow," he said, his eyes wide. "This is incredible. You've really captured something here." His presence flooded her with warmth and familiarity. "Thanks. It's a new direction for me. I'm trying to explore the complexities of family dynamics and responsibility." Michael stepped closer, studying each piece intently. "There's a depth to your work that feels raw, honest. You've taken your experiences and turned them into something beautiful." Her pulse quickened at his compliment. In the backdrop of personal turmoil, his validation felt like an oasis. She hesitated, the fleeting whispers of self-doubt creeping in, but she dismissed them. "I hope to draw more parallels between my life and the universal struggles we face. Why not showcase it?" His casual suggestion hung in the air, igniting her pulse with excitement and anxiety. "You have so much to say with your art, and it could resonate with a lot of people. Maybe even a show? It's never too soon to start building your platform." His words were a catalyst. A spark flickered deep within her, fanning into flames of ambition. Could she take the leap? The unsettling weight of familial loyalty clashed with this newfound aspiration. Yet, the thought of her art reaching those who shared similar burdens played over and over in her mind. "Maybe," she stammered, trying to digest the enormity of his suggestion. "But I'm not really sure I'm ready to put myself out there like that." His gaze softened. "You have to trust yourself, Sarah. What holds you back? You're creating something profound that shouldn't just stay hidden in this studio." The conflict of self-exposure resonated deeply within her, but it was accompanied by an unyielding surge of hope. The urge to express, to connect, bubbled within her, countering the ongoing responsibility toward Jake's well-being. "Maybe I can start small," she offered, the idea blooming slowly in her mind. "Perhaps an online showcase, or even a local exhibit." "Exactly." Michael's enthusiasm was infectious. "Let us make a plan together." The corner of her mouth lifted, faltering doubt receding slightly. The possibilities swirled around her. Just as she felt the thrill of the unknown, her phone pinged again, a reminder of Jake's need for dinner assistance later. The moment had arrived where she must confront the essence of who she aspired to be amidst the complicating ties of family. Would she craft the ambition to follow her dreams while navigating her brother's struggles? As Michael continued to discuss the logistics of her art potential, she fought against the inner turmoil of her dual responsibilities. Something profound was beginning to evolve within her, but the stakes were growing higher. The moment to face her brother's needs directly without neglecting her aspirations was fast approaching. Could she finally step into multiple roles without losing her identity? Decisions were needed as an unexpected anticipation began to fill the atmosphere. The vibrant chaos of the studio, once a sanctuary of creative wrath, suddenly felt suffocating as Sarah's phone dinged insistently. Each beep resonated with responsibilities she wished to escape, yet couldn't ignore. Dinner with Jake hung over her like a spectral weight, pulling her back from the exhilarating edge of her ambitions. "Hey, you okay?" Michael's voice pierced through her spiral of anxiety, grounding her just as the rising tide threatened to overwhelm. "Yeah," just she hesitated, grappling with the reality that awaited her outside these walls. "Jake needs me tonight. He has been struggling again." His expression changed, a mix of understanding and concern. "You can't pour from an empty cup, Sarah. You need to carve out space for you." Something within her stirred, a defiance rising to greet his logic. Could this be true? Could she balance her commitment to Jake while also nurturing a flickering flame of desire for her own art? "I get that," she said slowly, "but Jake, he needs me. I can't just abandon him. What if you took a step back and worked on your vision while still supporting him?" Michael suggested cautiously, clearly attempting to navigate the delicate terrain of her familial loyalty. "Like what exactly?" The question hung heavy between them, her tone skeptical but softened by curiosity. Set clear boundaries. Maybe start with time blocks when you'll focus on your art. Insist on keeping that commitment, a pillar of your routine. The suggestion took root, sprouting tentative hope but mingled with guilt. What if he needs me during that time? Then create a plan with him. Help him understand that your art is part of your healing too, he urged, his voice now a soothing balm. He needs to see that you're not just defined by your responsibilities. As she pondered his words, Sarah couldn't shake the fear of disappointing Jake. But there was a flicker of possibility, a realization that if she didn't prioritize herself amidst his struggles, she could lose her sense of identity, full stop. Okay, she said finally, feeling the weight of a choice take form within her. I can talk to him. Set times for both of us. That's it. Michael's excitement seemed to lift the air in the studio. That's the kind of proactive step you need to take. His battles don't diminish your fight, you know? The conflict of her dual responsibilities loomed, a powerful force threatening to drag her down if she didn't act decisively. With newfound energy, Sarah could visualize the composition of her life as both an artist and a sister, a canvas of contrasts. Let us lay out a schedule, she said, determination glowing again like freshly mixed paint. I want a strict outline for both my art and what Jake needs. Michael nodded, digging a notepad from his bag and handing it to her. Let us jot down what you aim to achieve, the themes, the shows, the works in progress. As she filled the pages, each stroke of ink felt like reclaiming a piece of her agency. With each passing moment spent in the studio, she felt a burgeoning urgency to give form to her dreams rather than allow them to languish in the shadows. But shortly, as her mind raced with thoughts of showcasing her emotions and experiences, another ping arrived unexpectedly, a message from Jake, asking her to bring home ice cream and his favorite takeout. An innocent ask, but within it flickered the familiar reminder of the responsibilities that called her back. Duty calls, she whispered, the irony not lost on her. This was the tug of war she'd been dreading. Yet now it felt like a challenge she could navigate. As she walked towards the door, armed both with a plan and her painted visions, a thought struck her deeply. The time had come to face not just Jake, but herself, her roles, ambitions, and the conflict defining them. Could this be her moment of truth? As she stepped outside, she glanced back at the studio, her sanctuary, her battleground, and vowed to return, equipped with new clarity. The uncertainty surrounding how the conversation with Jake would unfold loomed, threatening to shake the foundations she was trying to build. Tomorrow, she would confront the essence of her ambition, how far she could bend without breaking. What unexpected revelations waited in the delicate conversation with Jake? The air outside the studio was cool, a fresh breeze embracing Sarah as she navigated the familiar streets toward home. The weight of her impending conversation with Jake hung thick under the surface of her thoughts. Each step felt heavier than the last, laden with a burden that had stretched over years, the weight of loyalty, which had often kept her from pursuing her own desires. She replayed Michael's words in her mind. You can't pour from an empty cup. The phrase echoed, urging her to acknowledge her own dreams amidst the chaos of familial obligation. But what would that look like? The fear of Jake's disappointment loomed large, veiling the potential exhilaration of her personal resurgence. Could she truly balance both? Arriving home, the cozy clutter of their shared space provided a stark contrast to the creative chaos of the studio. Jake's laughter drifted through the living room, a sound that both grounded and unsettled her. She paused at the threshold, her heart racing, battling the instinct to shrink back into safety. Hey, you're back, he exclaimed, turning toward her with a vulnerable smile that tugged at her heart. I was just about to dig into some serious movie watching. Did you get the ice cream? The mundane ask, so reminiscent of their routine, brought forth a swell of conflicting emotions. She smiled weakly, stepping inside and placing the groceries on the kitchen counter. Yeah, I grabbed it. I hope you're ready for the sugar rush. As they settled comfortably onto the couch, Jake's demeanor shifted. You've been working a lot in the studio lately. You okay? His question hovered in the air, weighted and foreboding. She could hear Michael's encouragement in her mind, pushing her to respond honestly, but the fear tethered her tongue. Yeah, just managing. He took a bite from his bowl, eyes shimmering with a blend of concern and affection. It made the task ahead feel monumental. The urge to protect him, his well-being, His stability battled with the need to express her own aspirations. How could she risk unearthing the complexities of her own desires when Jake was struggling? "Sarah, if something is bothering you," he began gently. The unguarded invitation lingered on the edge of empathy, coaxing the walls she had built around her desires to start crumbling. "I want to talk about us," she blurted out, the words escaping her before she could smother them in doubt. His brow furrowed, an unmistakable tension creeping in where there had once been warmth. "Us," he echoed, a flicker of apprehension crossing his face. "Is everything okay?" "Yes," she quickly reassured him, her heartbeat pulsating in her throat. "But I need us to talk about boundaries and time. I can't keep being the only one holding everything together." His expression shifted, uncertainty mixed with a hint of defensiveness. "What do you mean?" Taking a deep breath, she pressed on, feeling the stirring of inner strength. "I love you, Jake, but I need to create space for my art. I feel like I'm losing myself while trying to support you." Silence enveloped them, thick and electric. A glossy sheen of uncertainty coated Jake's features. "But aren't we in this together? I thought you wanted to be there for me." "I do," she insisted, her voice cracking against the weight of her passion. "But I can't ignore my own dreams. I've started planning how I can balance both, but I need you to understand." His gaze shifted downward, contemplating her words, the slight tremor of vulnerability exposing a fragility in his acceptance of her aspirations. "What does that mean for us?" he whispered, the tone of his question cutting deeper than she expected. Sarah felt a rush of panic surging within, her plan teetering precariously at the edge of confrontation. What if they couldn't redefine their relationship? Would the foundation of their lives together crumble? "I don't know," she admitted, her heart racing. "But I want to find out, for both of us." The flicker of hesitation was palpable as realization seeped into her. They stood on the precipice of profound change, filled with both fear and the possibility of liberation. As Jake looked into her eyes, she braced for either a breakthrough or a fracture. Could they redefine their bond without sacrificing herself to the role of caretaker? The answer lingered in the air, and for the first time, she felt a fierce longing for the clarity that came with uncertainty. Would she emerge inspired or hollowed from their heart-wrenching conversation? The moment throbbed with potential, and as she steadied her resolve, Sarah realized one undeniable truth. This was only the beginning of a deeper journey she was finally ready to embrace. What cracks in their relationship would expose untold truths about themselves? The silence stretched uncomfortably between them, a palpable cloud of uncertainty hanging above the couch. Sarah could feel her heart pounding, not just from the tension of their conversation, but from the realization of the precarious balance she was now attempting to achieve. Jake was still staring at his bowl, lost in thought, and she could sense the wheels turning in his mind. Maybe I'm just afraid of losing you," he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper, dragging her thoughts back to helplessness that had made her way too familiar. Just when she believed the conversation would spiral downward, Jake's admission surged through her, a mixture of guilt and empathy joined forces in her chest. "I'm not going anywhere, Jake," Sarah countered, her voice firmer as she leaned forward, needing him to understand. "But if I keep ignoring my needs, I might not be myself anymore. And that isn't good for either of us." He briefly met her gaze, his eyes clouded with the vulnerability she had seen so often over the years, a poignant reflection of his fears and their shared history. The weight of their relationship, once comforting, now felt like a tether chaining her to the fear of inaction. "What are your needs?" he asked, cautiously probing as he set his bowl down. The question echoed in her mind, and for the first time, she allowed herself to articulate her deepest aspirations. "I want to create my work. I want to showcase it and learn from it. It's a part of who I am." A tremor of uncertainty escaped with her words. He sighed, a mix of resigned understanding and devastation etched into his features. "But I thought we were building something together. I thought you wanted to support my career too." "I do, Jake," she said, shaking her head, still grappling with the entangled emotions. "But my art is just as important as your pursuits. They're not mutually exclusive. I can be there for you without losing myself completely. I don't want to become resentful, and I don't want to wake up one day feeling empty." Her honesty hung in the air, and in that moment, Sarah understood that she wouldn't allow herself to shrink anymore. She could feel the embers of her previously stifled desire igniting within her, urging her to push forward. "Can we figure this out together?" Jake asked, the unease in his eyes softening into a flicker of hope. "Can you show me how to support you two?" The tentative shift in his voice reassured her in a way she hadn't anticipated. Leaning back into the couch, Sarah felt a spark of optimism overtaking the fear in her heart. "Yes, I would like that." As their conversation continued, they navigated through the discomfort of vulnerability, discussing their aspirations and how they could intertwine their ambitions without sacrificing one another. Sarah could feel herself emerging from the shadows of self-doubt, exploring the possibilities that lay ahead, a journey she and T expected to embark on right now. Before long, they were making tentative plans, an exhibition here, a collaborative project there. As they built their new roadmap, a powerful realization began to dawn on her. Being unapologetically herself would not only allow her to explore her dreams, but also deepen her connection with Jake. When the conversation finally ended, Sarah felt lighter, yet everything was still delicately balanced on a thread. She couldn't shake the lingering apprehension in the back of her mind about how their new agreement would hold up against the trials they might face, especially if they didn't find a way to navigate jealousy or fear in the future. They settled into a new routine of mutual support. The world outside seemed to transform. The studio called to her more forcefully than before. With every brushstroke, her essence was revived. Yet, every exhilarating moment was intertwined with the weight of uncertainty that still surrounded her relationship with Jake. What unforeseen challenges would emerge now that they had stepped into this new territory? Would their commitment to each other endure through the upheaval, or would the cracks deepen and threaten to fracture everything they had built together? The studio was alive with the scent of linseed oil and the vibrant colors that danced across her canvas, a mixture that felt as familiar as her heartbeat. As Sarah stepped inside, a wave of inspiration swept over her, fueling a resolve she hadn't dared to embrace fully until now. Every splatter of paint on the floor and the chatter of nearby artists created a chorus resonating with possibility. Yet, despite the thrill, she could feel the contrasting anxiety bubbling below her surface, reminding her of the delicate compromise she was navigating with Jake. She moved toward her easel, her fingers grazing the texture of an unfinished painting, a representation of her tumultuous feelings. The brush would be her tool and refuge, the canvas her manipulative partner. With every stroke, she realized she was constructing a part of herself that had long been subdued. This wasn't just art. It was a testament to her growth. But as her excitement surged, a nagging question kept creeping into her mind. How would Jake react to her evolving independence now that they had committed to support one another? The road was still unknown, and uncertainty shrouded their newfound arrangement. With each passing day, Sarah dedicated herself to building her portfolio. Late-night brainstorming sessions, coffee-fueled inspiration, and animated discussions with fellow artists became the new norm. Each moment injected a sense of urgency into her previously stagnant life. However, she wasn't naive. She sensed the weight of Jake's expectations lurking in shadows. One evening, as she was painting, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Jake. "Hey, can we talk?" The words twisted knots in her stomach. The apprehension surged again, a vivid reminder that not all conversations about their relationship had been easy. With a deep breath, she texted back, "Sure. Can we meet at the cafe?" She needed a neutral space, one that would allow for open dialogue without the intensity of home. When they met, Sarah noticed the approach of vulnerability crawling into Jake's demeanor, as if he were bracing himself for an uncomfortable revelation. Their small talk felt tilling soil, but the real growth waited just below the surface. It needed to be unearthed. "Things have been changing," he began, his fingers fidgeting with the sleeve of his shirt. "I can see you thriving with your work. But I'm struggling to keep up." The admission struck her, revealing a depth of concern lurking just beneath the surface of their agreed-upon support. "What do you mean?" she probed, leaning in, her heart racing as she anticipated where this could lead. "I thought I could manage it, but I'm feeling like I'm losing you to your art. I worry. Is this what you really want?" He searched her gaze, his sincerity revealed in the intensity of his eyes. Her instincts surged. This was a pivotal moment, the kind that splintered into layers of fear and excitement. I want this, Jake, but I also need you to be okay with that. It's not about losing each other. It's about growing together, individually. He nodded slowly, absorbing her words. I just need to find my footing too, you know? His acknowledgement struck a chord, making her rethink her own ambitions against the backdrop of their relationship dynamic. As much as she craved her creative expression, she adored him, and he deserved the same unyielding pursuit of his passions. An idea began to hatch in her mind, a plan to intertwine their aspirations rather than separate them. What if they both supported each other as projects collaboratively? Could this balance foster a deeper connection instead of driving them apart? Let us create together, she suggested, her tone brimming with newfound determination. Let us merge our worlds instead of keeping them apart, Jake. I can showcase my art in your workspace, and you can help me with the business side. Let us redefine our paths together. His face brightened at the proposition, revealing a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. But along with the thrill of possibility, Sarah felt the tension of this new challenge mounting. Could they truly navigate their ambitions while fostering their relationship? As they laid out plans to intertwine their professional lives, the excitement felt tinged with fear. The uncharted territory stretched before them, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the balance they were striving for could tilt at any moment. The moment of truth loomed ominously. Would their combined efforts flourish, or would the very passion that brought them together also be the source of inevitable turmoil? Standing in the studio, Sarah felt a profound shift within her, like the final brushstroke on a canvas that encapsulated her journey. Weeks of uncertainty, compromises, and artistic exploration had culminated in a powerful realization. Not only was she capable of nurturing her dreams while supporting her brother, but she was also forging a new identity that honored both realms. The notion of hosting an exhibition now felt tangible. The initial idea, once shrouded in self-doubt, had taken shape, bound together with her brother's struggles and triumphs. She had decided to feature pieces that highlighted their shared experiences, illustrating the promise of hope within adversity. In the days leading up to the show, Sarah poured every ounce of energy into her art. Her canvas flourished, the vibrant colors resonating not only with her own journey but with Jake's renewed determination. As he embarked on job applications, the commitment to each other's ambitions became evident. She felt supported, and he felt inspired. Finally, the day of the exhibition arrived, a moment Sarah meticulously planned to share her artistic voice with the world. Friends, families, and a few local art enthusiasts filled the small gallery, the air buzzing with anticipation. She stood at the entrance, her nerves coiling tightly, but also buoyed by the warmth of familiar faces mingling amongst the artist's guests maneuvered through the exhibit. Sarah overheard snippets of conversations, her heart swelling with pride as people connected with her work. Comments like, "This piece speaks of resilience," and "Her perspective rings so true," echoed around her, validating the uncomfortable leap she dared to take. Each reflection reinforced the progress she had made. She had transformed her fears into a shared narrative, showcasing beautifully vulnerable moments from her life. Amidst the bustling energy, Jake appeared at her side, a soft smile illuminating his face. "You did it, Sarah. This is incredible," he said, his genuine pride drowning out her lingering apprehensions. The weight of their earlier confrontations laden with fear and vulnerability, now melted away, replaced by an exhilarating sense of shared achievement. "We did it," she corrected him, the camaraderie in her tone infusing their connection with newfound strength. As she gestured towards a piece that encapsulated both their struggles, a visual story of crumbling foundations reclaimed with vibrant splashes of colors, Jake took her hand, squeezing it gently. "I'm proud of you, and you've made me rethink my own aspirations." The heartfelt moment shifted something deeper within her. She had navigated through familial loyalty and personal ambition, merging them into a cohesive reality. "We're building our lives together, you know?" She responded. "Your struggles inspired me, and my art can, in turn, lift us both." The evening drew to a close, leaving Sarah with the afterglow of accomplishment. Potentials were no longer pinned behind familial duty. Instead, they coursed freely through her veins. She exited the gallery, fingers intertwined with Jake's, the city lights illuminating a bright future ahead. From a hesitant dreamer behind the espresso machine to an acclaimed artist unafraid to tread the waters of emotional vulnerability, Sarah had conquered the terrain of her fears. Her heart pumped with purpose, her identity finally whole. She had consistently demonstrated that artistry could thrive alongside love, family, and commitment, reinforcing that neither had to diminish the other. In this transformative journey, she not only achieved professional success, but also forged a newfound resolve towards self-identity and authentic balance rooted in resilience and creativity. Confidently, Sarah now looked toward the horizon, an exhilarating future unfolding before her. And so, she stepped forward, ready for every blank canvas life might present. Now it's your turn to join this journey of transformation. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that inspire growth and achievement. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let this content reach those who need it. Comment below your reactions and theories about Sarah's incredible transformation. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to believe in their dreams and rise above challenges. You need to subscribe now, and don't wait even one more second to share.